How do we balance a healthy lifestyle in our busy professional life? Let's dive into my workday as a business analyst. I will share my experience on how I ended up pursuing this career in the United States. So stay tuned until the end of this video that might help answer a lot of questions that you all had asked. The morning roll here as a busy mom, prepping some ghee and dal rice with bitter gourd and papad for my kids' meal before school and making these balls like this. They just really love this, so I try to do that at least one time in a week. Once all the meal prep work is done for breakfast and lunch boxes, then it's time for me to get ready for office. Since my office is in the downtown area, it takes a little bit of commute for me to reach there, so I have to start quite early in the morning so that I can reach there on time before the scheduled meetings and things like that. Though I don't usually eat my breakfast this early, especially when I'm home, but since I have to go to the office, I make sure that I eat something before I go. So here we are going to be having some fermented rice for breakfast, or at least I am going to be having. So this rice with curd was fermented last night, so leave it for 8 hours, and in the morning have it with some shallots and some green chili and a little pinch of salt if you want to, but just leave it out. I usually leave it out. I like to have all the probiotics within this fermented breakfast as much as possible, and this definitely is a great meal for improving your digestion. So make sure to try this out if you haven't and see how it makes you feel throughout the day. So here after I drive and park my car, I take the metro bus which takes me to the downtown. It takes me about 45 minutes to 1 hour in the traffic. And here we are in the bustling city of Houston. And then I have a 10-minute walk to my office building, and then I take the stairs. So that gives me enough activity for the mornings, and that is very important with our sedentary lifestyle at work, right? Okay, so now let's get in. It's around 8:30 in the morning, and I usually get here around the same time. I don't have an early meeting in the morning today, but right now I'm checking in some emails and replying to them. I also have to review a presentation that my colleague had sent over. So we collaborate on that, make these updates and changes, and then we'll be able to present it to the senior leadership team. And also a lot of my work involves creating these workflow diagrams. So we need to document these workflows for the current state and the future state so that we can propose certain changes to stakeholders as needed and create these updates to the processes. So now once all that work is done for a little bit, look at that view right there. It's great, right? I'm so excited here to have some lunch. This is a lunch bowl that I prepared from Teff Grains, and let me know if you want me to make a video on that. It's amazing, tastes amazing, really healthy. So what greater way to have some protein-rich lunch. So usually I don't take a 30-minute mandatory lunch break. I do something side by side, whether it's attending some trainings or replying to Teams messages or things like that. And I do make sure to give some break to my body. So getting some movement there, taking some steps, and yeah, I think we are on the right track here. Later in the evening, in between some meetings, I'm having some chamomile tea, which is very calming and pleasant, and I'm making a step out to the pantry to see what we have out here. Definitely some pizzas that people had for lunch, and also peeking into the refrigerator to see if I've got something there. But I guess I'm gonna have nut mix for now. And look at that, sweets from India. Our chikki. Okay, I'm gonna take a little bite of this mango fruit juice, raw mango. Mouth is watering, right? It's so yummy. Now it's time to get back for one last meeting that we were having as a team. So most of my team members are in different parts of the United States, so we have various offices all across. So by the end of this day, I feel very relieved. It was a productive day. We got to do a lot of things, and just it's time for stretching our legs and get going back home, which again takes me about 10 minutes to go back to the bus stop. And I'm so happy to go back to my family, bond with them. A lot of news that we all have to share. My kids, my husband, my home, that's where my happy place is. Okay, so let's answer some questions. One question that I get asked a lot is, how did I end up choosing this career here in the United States? So let's break it down. First is what I started with in India. I was working in a company, a multinational company called ITC Foods. In the foods department, it was a research and development center, and I was working as a research associate. Okay, so there it was a quality department division. So I had that experience of quality assurance and testing. Once I moved into the United States, there was this career gap, like many of you already know. We all have this gap when I was on dependent visa, and that was a time where you can't do much. But finally, when I got the opportunity to start working or start having the ability to work, what I really wanted to was, the choice came up that, okay, let me start looking into the software field, because the one reason that I wanted to do it is because my kids were very young, and I wanted something that's flexible enough to, that allows me to work, right? So the next step is, how do I transition from there to here? Okay. So what really helped me is, okay, I had this experience as a QA in a different industry, but now here it would be easier for me to move from there to this industry, in the software industry, in a similar kind of role. Okay, similar kind of role is the step for me to enter the space. That would be an easier way for me to enter into this field. So I thought of taking a look at the QA roles for the software field. There were a lot of tools. So besides the mindset of a QA, the analytical mindset, the testing ability, okay, the attention to details and having the ability to pinpoint the issues and defects, right? That is something that I feel that I already had that sort of in me. But of course, in the software industry, it's different, right? You need to understand what is relevant. So various tools like Selenium, for example, the automation tools are relevant. So now the next step is, okay, how do I learn, or how do I get that understanding of what tools are relevant in the market, and how do I learn more about it? So be it YouTube, a playlist videos that you can get from various experts, or certain Udemy courses or Coursera, anything, okay? I try to look at, mostly I think that I went with the YouTube videos, and those were very relevant in helping me understand what this is actually about, and that really, really helped me. Now, the next step is fine tune your resume, right? You need to put your resume in a way that is appealing to the employers, because that is the only way you will be called for an interview, right? So that is the next step. Now you have the understanding, but you want to put it in a way that makes this resume come into the eyes of the employers. So for me, from a food industry experience, having the ability, or I had the opportunity to work for a food business. So the domain experience really transferred. I had the understanding of how a food industry works, or how a food company is set up. So having the domain experience really helps, whether it is a BA or a QA, but I was working in the QA testing field. And then once I got into companies, right, once you get into a company, it is easier to switch to another role that you might be interested in, right? So the first step is get into some company wherein you can push through and get in. be it any role, right? Then looking into other roles, what really stuck with me is the project management role was very fascinating to me, because being in the QA role felt very restricting. I felt I'm restricted to just test and find defects. I did not have the understanding of the high level whole picture. So, and being in the project management space, I saw team members who had the opportunity to communicate with various teams, various stakeholders, and things like that. It's not that I didn't get the ability to, as a QA as well. I had the ability to do that, but I felt like if I was in that role, I could do something a bit more. So, with that mindset, I started communicating to my supervisors if it's possible to do that transition. And many times it is very often welcome in various companies. So, in my example, it was easy for me to switch because they already knew me, they already knew how I was working, and they were good enough. And most often, I think many companies or many departments are flexible enough when they know that some are interested. You just need to make it known to them that you have some interest in it, and you are ready to get guidance and be mentored by the supervisors. And that way, I think and I hope that it is useful for you as well, if you want to put it across to your employers. I don't know if it works with all the supervisors, but in my case, it was, it was well received. So that is the next step. Once I was able to switch into that, getting your skills related to project management is key, right? When I was working as a QA, I knew how Jira worked, what is GitLab, what is what are the other project management tools like Asana. But you work with UX designers, so you know how Figma works. And as a snippet that I had showcased in the video today, the Visio diagrams or lucid charts, you have that understanding. Now improve your skills so that you know it to the utter details, right? So once you have that in you, and once you know that these are the things I need to learn, then it's easier to switch into various companies, right? So would be many companies who are looking for these same sort of skill set. Now, for this company that I'm placed right now, they were very much interested in the Scrum Master certification, the Scrum Master experience, which I had. So I also got certified meanwhile from a certification agency, which is scrum.org. There are other agencies that gives this certification, but I got certification, and this was a good thing to add on to my resume. And this is something that I get asked a lot, what are the certifications that you took? So this is something that really added to my resume, but that is all secondary. The certifications are secondary. The main thing is that you need to communicate in a way that is appealing during the interviews, right? So the next step is, when you're looking for these roles, your resume really matters, right? So fine tune your resume in a way that you have domain experience. If you're looking for a food company, okay, I have the experience in this domain. Now, what are the tools that they are interested in? Do you have experience in those tools? Do you have the understanding of those tools? Fine tune your resume, showcase it in a way that the employers might just want to give you a call and book an interview. Next comes interviews. Okay, half of the battle is over. You are selected for an interview, which currently in this market situation is a blessing if you even get selected. But once you get selected, how will you showcase, how will you prove yourself in the interview? That, I would say, it is an experience in itself. The first interview, you cannot be demotivated if you don't knock off on your first attempt. It's very rare that one would. So never think that it is a waste of time or effort. It is not. I initially thought that, okay, this is really demotivating. I am not going to do it anymore. But no, the second time around, it's even more better, because most of the time, right now, I know as an interviewer, I take many interviews with my current company, and I know that as interviewers, we need to get prepared too. We prepare ourselves so that we can ask those questions to the interviewees. So similar way, you need to know that the people on the other side also have come prepared for this interview. So the best way to showcase it to them is be friendly and have that experience communicated in a way that makes sense for them. It's totally okay to say that, okay, you don't have experience in certain things. That is in no way hurting to them, because most often you ask certain questions where, you know, some of them are very relevant, some of them are, that is something that you're really looking for, but there are certain skills that are like nice add-ons, nice to have things. So some of the certifications are like that in certain companies, but the Scrum certification was very helpful for me, and any IIBA certification, right? Currently, I'm also trying to pursue the CAPM certification, or PMP certification is also a very good one to have on your resume. Again, certifications are secondary. First thing is skills and experience and the level of understanding. So once you pass the interviews and get placed, next step is to keep learning. Right now, I would say, like, for example, the visualization tools like Power BI, right? I am not an expert on it, but I know people on the team that are experts on it. So I'm trying to understand from them what it is to make, how it is to make these reports, how to make these connections and things like that. So keep upskilling yourself and to a level where this will keep on adding to your resume. You know, you never want to be stagnant in this industry because everyone is learning, everyone is trying to move ahead. So I hope this video was motivational enough, and I hope with this new year, I know things are a little slow, but I hope that all of your wishes come true, whether it is a professional career growth or personal growth or whatever it is. I hope everything comes true. Yeah, if you have got any other questions, let me know in the comments below, and I would love to hear from you. And I will see you all in my next one. Take care and bye.